We're American. We want change. One thing we've forgotten over time is that we need to drain the swamp. What's the swamp? The swamp is the pile of deep state actors holding positions of power in our government as unelected officials, propped up and put in place by someone who isn't us, and allowed to do whatever they want, working against all of us, against all normal Americans. The common Joe in America doesn't stand a chance against these evildoers, working in the background, greasing palms, living off of corruption and screwing over normal citizens. What's the deep state? It's all those elites in power working against us, undermining our government and keeping us from having a better life while they build a corrupt empire. Government is supposed to serve us, not themselves. Have we forgotten that? We can't let the faceless deep state go without being noticed. We have to call them out. That's what I'm doing here. I'm exposing the faces of corruption. How is the government supposed to serve us? Maybe you want to know that someone has your back if work is unsafe, your employer is trying to screw you, or if the employment market is falling off a cliff. That's why the Labor Department is supposed to have your back, with basic standards that help the little guy. Unless you're this guy. This is the Secretary of Labor that helps employers for sex trafficking. He gave Jeffrey Epstein a sweetheart deal to stay out of jail and keep on trafficking minors. Okay, so we can't trust that guy to help with jobs that aren't child sextortion. But we can keep American markets booming, right? America first. We need to put our markets first. We can maybe thrive with our friends, but American businesses need to be front and center. Whoops, you've got this guy as Secretary of Commerce. He's a part owner of multiple Chinese companies and a shipping firm tied directly to Vladimir Putin of Russia. He abused his government position to make cozy deals with oil companies he has stock interest in. Man, Lex Luthor should take notes from this guy. And had investments in Russian petrochemical companies? You can't call him on it because he doesn't have to care. He routinely ignored congressional oversight inquiries and congressional subpoenas, giving the giant middle finger to anyone questioning his interests. Or maybe he just didn't notice because senior staffers said they have no confidence in him and only scheduled him for meetings that could double as nap time. Oh, at least he understands the common man. Nope. He couldn't understand that a worker who got laid off from work may need a food bank for basic needs. Why can't he just take out a loan instead of go to a food bank, he says. A real Marie Antoinette of our time. Let them have high-end loans, like the rich people do. So maybe that's bad, but at least we have our health, right? Isn't that how the sayings go? Everything else can be bad, but at least you've got your health. That's why the Department of Health and Human Services is supposed to be serving us, making sure we got health care, hospitals are running and all that. Except you got this guy. He cares more about making offshore drilling a free-for-all, enjoy your petrol-covered shrimp, or removing protections against hazardous particles. Your employer thanks you for sucking up that poison, or trying to kill the insurance plans for 24 million people. Not that he cares. He used the department as his own personal slush fund to book private jets to lavish destinations. He finally got the boot, kicked out of the department, and left the reins to, whoops, this guy. He's an executive for Big Pharma. Wait, that can't be a conflict of interest, can it? The pill pusher taking to the chair of the guy who's supposed to protect us against bad pills? Nah, whatever. But hey, at least we can keep the lights on at home, right? We can keep our workplaces powered on and our refrigerators running. That's why the Department of Energy is supposed to make sure we have a bright energy future, powering the lives that we have with the best technology available. Except whoops, you got this guy. He literally wanted the department to be abolished before getting the job as its leader. Genius. He eventually fired himself, but not before cherry-picking studies that favored his buddies in the coal industry. Seriously, coal? That lung-choking black soot from Oliver Twist is the best we can do? Oh, and making extortion deals with other countries that he wanted to install his cronies and advisors and course contracts for his buddies. But hey, Isn't there anything that protects us from getting poisoned by companies, from having our land destroyed by corporate greed, or keeping our beautiful country from turning into a dumpster? Yeah, that's why Nixon created the Environmental Protection Agency, to protect our beautiful lands, our forests, our drinking water, and whoops, you got this guy. Before getting the top spot in the national EPA, he dissolved an EPA unit in his home state because he's not so secretly hating EPA protections. He sued the EPA clean water policy because you prefer poison in your drinking water, right? Fought clean power policy because he likes it dirty. He was investigated and then sued for a scandal where he took part in a cover-up over lead waste. But that's okay. He got out of this poisonous problem by using his own power to kill the investigation. No lead poisoning here, said the Jedi Master. He rewrote ballots to ignore citizen referendums and hid emails that showed his close and cozy relationship with the biggest petrochemical oligarchs in the country, and somehow survived 14 federal investigations into his wrongdoings. Good job, buddy. Hey, surely someone is checking the books on these agencies, right? Someone's in charge of looking at what money is going where. That's why we have the Office of Management and Budget, here to keep the books clean and tidy and to make sure nothing weird is going on in this whoops, you got this guy. He was part of a pay-to-play scheme with banking execs while he's head of the OMB, letting banking execs and lobbyists saddle up with their agenda as long as they're donating the right amount. This guy didn't even keep it secret either. He literally said, if you're a lobbyist who never gave us money, I did not want to talk to you. And you guessed it, he could get away with it. He gave the old Heisman stiff arm to a government ethics probe so he could just keep on giving hall passes to lobbyists that wanted to play the other side and take government jobs. But I'm sure he cares about the little guy. That's why he manipulated unemployment numbers and killed meal programs for the disabled. Okay, he may be corrupt, but at least he's a fiscally responsible corrupt bureaucrat, right? Except for the part where he proposed adding almost $1 trillion to the federal deficit. Yeah, I know that's a lot. At least we got the internet to let us check these things, right? Keeping them honest with facts. We can find free and open information on the web. It's all an even playing field if we keep the information age going. We want open information. We want more ways to communicate. Not getting locked down to just propaganda and whatever puppet master owns the right to control whatever we know. This isn't North Korea. That's why the Federal Communication Commission exists, right? To keep the channels of communication open and usable. It started with radio back in the day, television later on, and now we got the internet. The internet, bringing truth to power with the information we can share, except you got this guy. This guy was an executive for one of the biggest internet service providers. Coming from his job as a bigwig selling you internet access, he pushed to allow ISPs to have more control over the content that you can see and throttle or choke connections to whatever that big company doesn't like. Free and open internet? So the internet's not free, but with him it's not even open. And it's not to protect anything but the company's bottom line. He came from the same company that secretly injected trackers into their customers' internet traffic so they could sell access to all your searches and browsing. He doesn't want to protect you. He wants to sell you or block you. He fought against classifying internet as a common carrier, meaning that internet is not an expectation for a normal life in this information age, meaning big companies can push you around even more and play with your internet access. Okay. So these cronies can take our money, abuse their power, play their corruption games, keep us from the truth, and sell us like commodities. Yeah, well, we could educate ourselves, start with a common understanding of the game, the world around us, what's going on. That's why the Department of Education exists, to ensure that our schools are providing meaningful educational curriculum with basic standards and with access to every child and young adult, starting from first grade up to a kid's college years. Making sure schools are accessible, meaningful, and purposeful. Except you got this gal. Are you a working class youngster wanting a better job at taking a chance and working towards a degree? She doesn't care. She killed protections for students taking loans and favored predatory loan practices that prey on students that can't afford to pay out of pocket. These companies love to trick low-income students and keep them in a debt loop that stays with them after they go bankrupt. She loves those greedy, predatory loan companies so much that when law enforcement investigated these loan companies and how her department was complicit in giving sensitive student information right to the predators, she stiff-armed the cops by saying whatever she feeds those greedy corpos is too sensitive for the eyes of the police. Way to dodge accountability. Keep those greedy loans rolling. Oh wait, don't you have a financial interest in that loan market? Yes. So I'll say it again. Drain the swamp. We gotta keep these bandits out of our government. We are tired of letting these unelected goons get propped up by secret puppet masters. Wait, who appointed all these jokers? Oh yeah. This guy.
President Donald J. Trump.
So maybe he hired a bunch of corrupt goons, reckless rich boys, or incompetent cronies to these positions. Maybe it was to get in good with greedy companies, to scratch backs with influential leaders, or to gain a voter base from other failed politicians. Maybe that just sold out the American people by getting a bunch of new bureaucrats who actively work against the health, safety, and interests of normal American people. But I'm sure Trump will do better this time, right? He's learned his lesson. He's not going to make the swamp any swampier. He's done letting the incompetent tell us what to do or let the foxes run the henhouse. Hopefully, although he is taking a guy that likes drug-fueled orgies and wants to abolish the FBI, a guy who's investigated for sex trafficking minors, into, the biggest lawyer in the land. He'll give the term pedo prosecutor a whole new meaning. He's taking a guy with a brainworm who hates medical science and making him the head of Health and Human Services. He's taking a woman who lied about the U.S. giving weapons to Al-Qaeda, a woman who has a cozy relationship with Vladimir Putin and other dictators, and making her the head of our national intelligence assets. He's taking a guy who wanted to outsource all resources for our military vets and let companies market their health, and making that guy head of our Defense Department. He's taking a quack fraud woo-woo doc who promoted unfounded cures and turning him into the head of Medicare. He'll make a woman head of Homeland Security with her closest relevant experience being the time she shot her own dog dead. And of course, he took a billionaire oligarch Bond villain who's been misusing AI to spread influence campaigns, a guy who is constantly trying to get the federal government to give him big contracts and is in 20 different federal investigations and lawsuits, and made him head of a brand new department where he can directly tell the federal government how it spends our tax dollars. No conflict of interest there, said the goofy villain from a James Bond movie. I could go on for much longer talking about this cast of goons from the previous administration or even the oncoming administration. He brings them in not as good servants of the people, not because of their special knowledge or ability to do the job well. It's a plan to bring on the rich and influential. Let them expand their influence while Donny Boy gets the same in return. Deals, donors, and voters. That's what it's all about. The cast may change or swap around from time to time, but the real goal is always the same. For this guy, it was never about helping you. And it looks like that's not going to change this time either. But I'm sure that's it, right? No bigger secret agendas brewed up by incompetent zealots to completely light things on fire, right?
Isn't it past your jail time?